Sometimes a player doesn't look reborn because he added a new move or suddenly became more athletic. Sometimes he looks reborn because the game finally feels like his again. And right now, that's exactly what makes Darryn Peterson so dangerous. A few months ago, there were real questions around him. Was he being used the right way? Was the pressure starting to cloud the picture? Was one of the most talented young guards in basketball slowly getting pulled away from the version of himself that made everyone believe in him in the first place? Then Summer League started, and something changed. Not just the numbers, not just the highlights. Something deeper. The way he moved, the way he attacked, the way he carried himself like a player who could finally breathe again. And when a prospect with that kind of skill starts playing loose, free, and confident, that is when the rest of the league should start paying attention. Because this story is not just about points. It is about freedom. It is about identity. And by the end of this video, you may see Darryn Peterson in a completely different way. And before we go any further, if you truly love basketball, if this game means something to you, and if you enjoy stories like this that go deeper than the box score, make sure you subscribe and become part of this basketball family. We talk hoops with passion here, and if that sounds like your kind of channel, you already know what to do. When Darryn Peterson was taken with the number 2 pick, the expectations changed instantly. That's the part people forget. The moment you hear your name that high, nobody wants context. Nobody wants the long explanation. People just want greatness, and they want it right now. Every dribble gets judged. Every missed shot gets clipped. Every quiet stretch becomes a debate. That is the pressure young stars live under now. And Peterson walked right into that storm. But the reason this moment feels bigger than a normal summer league run is because it doesn't feel random. It feels connected. It feels like the start of something. Because when Peterson spoke recently and said he felt like he was back having fun, that hit differently. That wasn't just a nice quote. That sounded like a player telling the world he finally feels like himself again. Source. And that matters more than people think. Because here's the part nobody talks about. When a young player loses joy, even a little bit, you can see it before you can explain it. The game gets heavy. Reactions get slower. Confidence gets quieter. You start making the safe play instead of the bold one. You think instead of flow. And for a player like Darryn Peterson, that is the difference between being good and being terrifying. Then Utah gave him the ball and said, "Go be you." And this is where everything started to feel real. In his summer league debut, Peterson dropped 28 points. That jumps off the screen immediately. But even that stat doesn't tell the whole story. It wasn't just that he scored. It was how he scored. He looked comfortable attacking. Comfortable making reads. Comfortable carrying responsibility. That's what stood out. Not a hot streak. Not one lucky night. It looked like a guard stepping into control. Source. Then he followed that up with 25 points and 12 assists. Now stop there for a second. That is not just flashy production. That is a statement. 25 points says I can get mine. 12 assists says I can run this thing too. That combination is what changes how teams look at a player. Anybody can have a scoring night. But when a young guard shows scoring touch and command at the same time, that's when the ceiling starts feeling a lot higher. Source. And wait till you hear what happened next, because the next part is where the story got even better. The matchup everybody wanted came fast. Darryn Peterson against AJ Dybantsa. Number 2 pick against number 1 pick. That alone was enough to pull people in. Summer League suddenly didn't feel like background basketball anymore. It felt personal. It felt like a preview. It felt like the beginning of one of those rivalries fans remember for years. Dybantsa got the win and had the bigger headline that night with 27. Peterson had 24 of his own, and even though it was a Messier performance in spots, that might have actually made the whole thing more interesting. Because now we weren't just looking at highlights. We were looking at resistance, pressure, response. Peterson didn't have a perfect game. He had to fight through it. And when a player can still put up numbers while the game gets ugly, that tells you something too. Source. That is what real growth looks like. Not every breakout looks clean. Not every important night looks smooth. Sometimes the most exciting sign is that a player keeps coming, keeps attacking, keeps believing, even when the rhythm is off. That is the kind of confidence you cannot fake. That is the kind of edge franchises build around. But here's where the conversation gets serious. Why should the NBA be worried? Because this version of Darryn Peterson is not just talented. He is engaged, and an engaged creator with size, touch, scoring instincts, and the freedom to operate on the ball becomes a problem very quickly. When he's attacking downhill, defenders have to make a decision. Give him space, and he gets comfortable. Crowd him, and he can use pace. Send help, and now you're testing his vision. That's what makes on-ball reps so important for him. He is not just learning how to score, he is learning how to control defenders. And when Peterson talked about seeing double teams and different coverages and needing to keep adjusting, that was another clue. That is not the language of a player hiding from pressure. That is the language of a player embracing it. Source. That should excite Jazz fans. Because now the story is no longer just, can Darryn Peterson be good? The story is starting to become, how fast can he become dangerous? And this is where everything changed for a lot of viewers. People stopped watching him like a draft prospect and started watching him like a future engine. That is a huge shift. Prospects get evaluated. Engines get built around. One is about talent. The other is about trust. Still, let's be real, because realism matters. Summer League is not the NBA playoffs. It is not proof of stardom. It is not a guarantee that everything will rise in a straight line from here. Peterson still has things to clean up. The game will get faster. The defenders will get smarter. The physicality will get more consistent, more punishing, more professional. Turnovers will matter more. Shot selection will matter more. Every bad habit gets tested harder at the next level. And honestly, that is what makes this even more compelling. Because this is not about pretending he has arrived. This is about recognizing that something important has clearly started. The confidence looks real. The role looks clearer. The joy looks visible. And once those things come together for a young player with elite upside, the growth can happen fast. There's also something else basketball fans understand at a deep level. The league is full of gifted players. But the guys who really scare you are the ones who play like they have something to prove and something to enjoy at the same time. That mix is dangerous. Too much anger can rush a player. Too much comfort can soften a player. But purpose and joy together, that is where special things begin. That is why this story hits. Because a lot of fans saw the talent before. They saw the ranking. They saw the promise. But now they are seeing the feeling. And basketball is at its best when a player's game and personality line up. When the moves look natural. When the confidence feels earned. When the smile says more than the stat sheet. So no, this is not just another Summer League hype video. This is a reminder of how quickly things can change for a young player when the fit starts making sense. When the ball finds the right hands. When the pressure turns into fuel. When the game starts feeling fun again. And maybe that's the biggest warning sign for everybody else. Because if Darryn Peterson is truly comfortable now, if he really is settling into the version of himself that made him one of the top young players in basketball, then the scary part is not what he has already shown. The scary part is what happens when this is only the beginning. That is why stories like this matter. Not because they guarantee greatness, but because they let us witness the moment before the rest of the world fully catches on. The moment where potential starts turning into presence. The moment where a talented prospect starts feeling like a real problem. Darryn Peterson may still have a long road ahead. He still has lessons to learn, mistakes to make, and battles to fight. But if this stretch is telling us anything, it is that the spark is real. And if the spark is real, then the league should absolutely be paying attention. So now I want to ask you, do you think Darryn Peterson can become the face of the Jazz rebuild, or is it still too early to buy in? Let me know in the comments. And if you love basketball stories that make you feel why this game means so much, stay with the channel, subscribe,